video, we're going to go through dividing by a 2-digit divisor, and I'm going to give you some hints, and we're going to do a whole bunch of problems. In the first, 2 to 5 problems, I would say just kind of go along through the process with me and do them with me. And then as we get further and as you kind of get the hang of how to do it, feel free to try to pause the video and then check your answers as you finish them and make sure you're doing your work correctly. So when we're dividing 2 digits into 3 digits, there's going to be a lot of estimation that takes place. And so what you're going to do, the first thing you're going to look at is, okay, we're going to try to put 76 into 836, okay? So we know that 76 can't go into 8, so then we go to 83. So you can put your placeholder there to make sure that you put it in the right place if you have a hard time lining things up. That's a good thing to do. So 76 goes into 83 one time. So 1, because if I did 2 times 7, that'd be 140 for 70. So 1 times 76 is 76, and then we subtract. So we still do this division process that you've learned so well. Divide, multiply, actually I'll do the signs, divide, multiply, subtract, check, and drop down. That pattern still exists in this process. So 1 times 6 is 76, and then we subtract. And we're going to have to borrow and turn that into a 7 and make that turn our 3 into 13. So we have 13 minus 6, which is 7. And then 7 minus 7 is 0, so I'm just going to leave that. And I'm going to check and make sure 7 is less than my 76. And it is less than 76, so I'm going to drop down my 7. And oh, how convenient! I have a 76 right there. So 76 goes into 76 one time. 1 times 76 is 76, and we subtract and get 0. So we have no remainder, and the answer is 11. Okay. The next problem is 751 divided by 30. 751 divided by 30. Okay. So I'm going to start out by dividing, and 30 cannot go into 7, so if you want to put your placeholder up there, you can. But it can go into 75, and if I estimate, well, about how many times? So 30 times 2 is going to be 60. 30 times 3 is going to be 90. 90 would be more than 75, so I'm going to want to go with 2, right? And then I'm going to multiply. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 3 is 6. And you have 2 different options when you're multiplying. This one's a little bit easier because it has a 0 on it, and we can do that one in our heads. But if there's a number with 2 different digits here other than 0 or other than 1, you always have the option to kind of do a little multiplication problem over to the side. Or when we get to a problem like that, I'll show you how I like to use my carrying and stuff, and just leaving kind of the multiplication and making it happen within the problem. So you can kind of do it either way. I'm going to subtract now. 5 minus 0 is 5. 7 minus 6 is 1. Okay. I'm going to check and make sure that 15 is less than 30, and it is. And then I'm going to drop that 1 down. And now I have to do some estimation here. How many times does 30 go into 151? Well, if you think of it in big numbers, it might be kind of hard for you to wrap your brain around. But if you just kind of take how many times does 3 go into 15, well, 3 goes into 15 5 times, right? So 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 3 is 15. So we have 151 minus 150, which is 1. So we make sure to bring that remainder up, and their answer is 25, remainder 1. The next problem is 176 divided by 16. 176 divided by 16. So I put 16 into 1, it can't happen. 16 into 17, it goes in there one time. 1 times 16 is 16. And we subtract 17 minus 16 is 1. And 1 is less than 16, so I can drop on down my 6. And 16 goes into 16 one time. So again, I have 11. 2 problems. The answer 11 today. The next problem we're going to do is 809 divided by 62. 809 divided by 62. Okay. So 62 cannot go into 8, but it can go into 80. And if I were to multiply it by 2, it would be 120. So it's only going to go into 80 one time. So 1 times, here's where I can do this. 1 times 2 is 2. And then 1 times 6 is 6. And I'm going to borrow. 10 minus 2 is 8. 7 minus 6 is 1. Okay. So now I have 18. Is 18 less than 62? That's my check. And yes, it is less than 62. So I'm going to drop down that 9. And now I have 189. And with 62 going into 189. Okay. And this is where you do your estimation. So if I round this to 60, or if I just think of the 6 into 18, 6 goes into 18 3 times. So let's try that. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 6 is 18. And then I subtract. And 9 minus 6 is 3. And 18 minus 18 is 0. So I have 13 remainder 3 for my answer. All right. If you're getting the hang of this and you're seeing how it's going, feel free to pause the video on the next problem and see if you can do it on your own, and then rewatch the video when it comes up. The next problem is 210 divided by 15. 210 divided by 15. So I'm going to look at 15. Does 15 go into 2? Nope. So I'll have my placeholder up there. Does 15 go into 21? Yep. Well, I know that 15 times 2 is 30. So that's more than 21. So it's only going to be able to squeeze in there one time. So I have 1 times 15 is 15. And then I'm going to subtract. And I have 11 minus 5 is 6. Okay. And then I'm going to drop for a 0. And I know that 15 times 2 is 30, so that means, and 30 times 2 is 60, so 15 times 4, 15 is going to go into 64 times, okay? And I can multiply that. Here's how I'm going to show you how to use your carrying for that. We have 4 times 5 is 20, and I can put my little 2 right above the 1 there. 4 times 1 is 4 plus our 2 is 6. And then I subtract, get a 0, and the answer is 14. 14, 14, 14. The next problem is 594 divided by 34. 594 divided by 34. So if I think about 34, well, if I multiply 34 times 2, that's going to be 68, right? Because 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 3 is 6, so 68, that's bigger than 59. So I know that 34 is going to go into 59 just that one time. So we'll do the 1 above the 9. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 3 is 3. And then I subtract. 9 minus 4 is 5. And 5 minus 3 is 2. And then I'm going to drop my 4. Oh, and check. 25 is less than 34. When you're doing this long multiplication, you definitely want to check that, because this is where kids mess up a lot. They might multiply or divide wrong, and then this might be greater. So always make sure that when you subtract, you make sure that it's less than this. So now I have 254 and I have 34, okay? So that one's really kind of hard to wrap your brain around if you don't break it down. So take one place value off to do your estimation. Okay, so we look at our 3. How many times would 3 go into 25? Well, I know that 3 times 8 is 24, so maybe I'll try 8. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. 4 times, no, that's right, 3 times 8. So 8 times 4 is 32. So I'm going to put a 2 down here and carry my 3 up here, okay? That way I'm going to add that up. 3 times 8 is 24, 25, 26, 27. Ooh, 27. So this number ended up being bigger than this number. So that means that I chose the wrong number. So that's where you have to go back. So I'm just going to erase my work. And this happens in long division. You're going to try things and they're not going to work. So now I'm going to bring that number down to a 7, okay? And you have to accept that that's going to happen. But the successful part in this is that you recognize that, oh, that number is bigger. And that, ooh, I need to go back and change that, okay? So 7 times 4 now is 28. I'm going to carry my 2. 7 times 3 is 21, 22, 23. So now I have 238. 238 is less than 254, so now I can subtract. I need to borrow, so I have 4, and I have 14. 14 minus 8 is 6. Okay. 4 minus 3 is 1. So, and there's nothing else left to drop down, so I have a remainder of 16. Okay. All right, the next problem is 594, 790 divided by 29. 790 divided by 29. Write it down. Okay, I look at my 29 into 79. Well, 29 is almost 30, and 30 times 2 is 60. So I think that 29 can go into 79 2 times. So I'm going to put my place there because it's not going to go into 7. And I'm going to draw my 2 on top of my 9. 2 times 9 is 18, right? I'm going to carry my 1 right above my 2 there. So that way I add it when I'm going through. 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5. Make sure you add that plus 1. And then we subtract. 79 minus 58. 9 minus 8 is 1. 7 minus 5 is 2. 21 is less than 29, so we're golden. We're going to drop down that 0. And then I think to myself, how many times is 29 going to go into 210? Well, I'm going to estimate this and make this a 30. 3 goes into 21 7 times, right? So I'm going to put my 7 up here. 7 times 9 is 63. So I'm going to do a 3 down here and carry my 6. 7 times 2 is 14. Plus 6 is 20. And then I subtract. And when I borrow, I'm going to have a 0 here and a 10 here. And 10 minus 3 is 7. So I have 27, remainder 7. Okay. And that is all we have time for this video. I will do a video with a couple more problems just so you can get some more practice. Hope you're getting a hang of this and really seeing how all the numbers are working and how you do your estimation and get it all flowing. So keep up the great work. How out?